Are you ready to learn? Because my super experienced guests are ready to share some really valuable information. Make sure and listen all the way to the end to get help and support. So let's start with the best audio experience.
Hello, guys. Welcome to our show. Good people, welcome. By the way, I don't want to discriminate bad people. Welcome to our show as well. Anyone who wanna learn more about marketing, sales, and learning customers' behavior, welcome, because it's very important today to know your customers, to set up the right message, to market the right people. And I'm so excited to discuss this topic with Salup. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Anatoly? I'm doing great. It's a bit rainy today, but we're doing great in Miami. It's cool,
Nice.
so it isn't like 900 degrees outside, and I'm very happy. So thank you very much for having me, and it's your show, man. Take the lead.
Marcelo, I want to start from your experience. You spoke on my podcast. I know about your experience, but tell our audience, remind about yourself, how you learned customers' behavior, and any about your business, any tips about your business.
Well, wow. I don't have that long of a memory, and I'm really ancient. No, so for real. So I started my creative life, so to speak, as a professional rock and roll photographer,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it. Absolutely, utterly love it, and I still do it. By the way, I still go out every week to at least one, maybe two heavy metal, heavy rock shows. Then I went into the agency side. I went on the creative side, and I went as a copywriter, lowly copywriter. I was the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. Okay, I was like nobody, and I found out something incredible in those days. People would write ads, especially headlines, like as an advertiser, without talking to people. So I think that the worst example in the world was the guy who was my boss, a very nice Argentine called, this is in Madrid, called Hector Giovannoni. And he would just write ads. He, like, for example, we were doing a campaign for Alitalia, and he would be writing ads, headlines for people to go to Cortina d'Ampezzo and to other places. And one day I asked him, have you ever been to Cortina d'Ampezzo? Do you even know what it is? No. Well, I have. I have actually skied in Cortina d'Ampezzo, and I've skied in many other places. You have no clue why people go there. People don't go there for the skiing. People go there so they can see beautiful people and show off. That's why you go to Cortina d'Ampezzo, and that's why you go to, I don't know, a bunch of other places like that. If you want to go skiing, you just go skiing to professional places to go skiing. I don't know, Zermatt or something like that. So, I started thinking about it, like, what should we do? Then I got my big break. I launched the Renault 5TS as a creative in Spain, and it was great because everybody was saying about, buying the car, and I figured, nah, that's not the purpose of advertising. The purpose of advertising is to get you to a car dealer. The car dealer sells the car. The only thing I need to do is for you to be curious about what the Renault 5TS is all about, and then, you go to a Renault dealer and you say, hey, I'd like to see the TS. Then maybe he sells you the TS, maybe he doesn't sell you the TS. It's his problem. My only purpose in life is if I get you there. Fast forward, I went into media, then I went into many other things, management, high-level management, blah, 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 all of that. But throughout, the whole point of the career is, what is the consumer supposed to do? And I would say, if I were to start somewhere in the whole chain, is understanding really well, what action do you want the consumer to take? This is super. I mean, this is not, like some ancient discussion, from a 65, 68-year-old creative, with white hair and an Alfa Romeo and, all of this traffic. This is for real, because I just had a discussion maybe 3 weeks ago with the marketing coordinator of one of my clients, and she goes, well, we're getting a lot of clicks. Okay. Are we getting sales? No, but we're getting clicks. Wow. Okay. Are we getting people to fill up the contact form so we can input them into the drip campaign for the email so we can contact them and then they can call our people. No, but we're getting a CTR of 1%. It's worth it. And I told her, listen, you are the poster person for vanity metrics. So essentially, and I spoke to the client a lot about this, the whole purpose of the campaign was for somebody to fill out a form. So the form would be sent to the person who was in charge of contacting the clients. This is for a client that delivers treatment for children with autism. And then somebody calls. The whole purpose of the advertising campaign is to generate leads. It is not to generate clicks. It is not to generate CTR. It is not to generate engagement, whatever you measure it by. It's to get leads. So often I have found, and this goes for decades, often you find that people don't really know what behavior the consumer should have as a result of your advertising. So I guess that would be my very first, I would say, brick in building this foundation, or my very first information nugget.
Nice.
From there, then I founded with my co-founder, Adi, a company called CEO Analytics, which essentially boiled down to, okay, fine, you know all of this. Why are people making those decisions? So there's many things. I did my master's thesis in Spain with a really nifty title, Brainwashing, Attitude Change, and the Relation to Advertising. That's what I did. And I was very interested in brainwashing, mainly because, first of all, it's forbidden, right? Then I was curious about it, like, are we really brainwashing people? Like, when I buy, let's say, like all of my friends, we were a tribe. I had a Bultaco motorcycle. So everybody in my tribe had Bultacos, everybody. And by the way, everybody had a Bultaco Cherpa. I was one of the two people with a Bultaco Alpina because I didn't like Trial. But everybody had a Bultaco. And I was wondering, is this really brainwashing, or, is this further than that? Like, nobody had a Montesa, nobody had a Sunglass, that kind of thing. So I did my thesis on that. And one of the things I found was that behavior can be modified in a very quantifiable way. And that is attitudinal. It is not motivational. We all have our motivations. It could be that my motivation for having, I don't know, like at one point in my life, I had a Camaro Z28, which is a real muscle car. Could be my motivation for having that car was that, I'm very short. I'm only like 5'5". So I needed to look bigger than life. I don't know. But somebody else could have other motivations. But the attitude was measurable. We all have the same attitude towards muscle cars. And by the way, I have followed that. And my subsequent number of cars were like an Audi S4, 2 turbos muscle car, BMW 335, 2 superchargers muscle car. I had a Porsche Boxster, and now I have an Alfa Romeo twin turbo. It's a Giulia, again, muscle car. So you can measure those attitudes. But what happens is, one of the things we transitioned to as part of the digital world was a very high dependency on mathematical or sales-oriented data. So people say, well, like 52% of my consumers do this, or 35 do that, or, these consumers buy 3 of these, 4 of that. And then you wonder, okay, so, but why? What's the point? Like, why are they buying this? And what do you tell them? So that they buy more, or more often, or more expensive, so you can cross-sell, upsell, and, sell more. So I found that a lot of the CDPs, a lot of the customer data platforms were focusing too much on the mathematical trappings of it. Oh, this is, the patterns, but nobody knew the why. So we created a technology to find out the why. Why are you doing this? So we do that by combining something really arcane. It is called disassociated conjoint analysis. And anybody who has had a client that is a telco, like cell phones, or anything that sells packages, like fast food or whatever, is probably very familiar with conjoint analysis. Because conjoint analysis is, hey, would you buy this combination for this price, or that combination for that price? And then mathematically, you mix them all up and you say, well, this combination has the maximum amount of people who would buy it, and it also maximizes our profits. And that's the one you go out with. Not necessarily the most expensive, because if the most expensive has less buyers, you don't want that. So it's a maximization of customer choice and then price or profits. But we created something that delivered those kind of questions one by one. So we isolated the survey from a lot of the biases, the content bias, the order bias, all of that. So we have that. And along the way, then, like I tend to really apply that to to my clients. Like right now, we're working with a chain of 30 restaurants, and we are even using that to really determine the positioning. So a lot of people say a lot of things in restaurants. Home cooked. I don't know about you. Maybe your mom is fantastic, but let me tell you, man. My grandmother was the worst cook in the world. She couldn't cook to save her life. My mom was like the worst cook after her. And my mom was an awful cook. Actually, we had a full-time cook in the house. We had a cook, a maid, and a chauffeur. So to me, home cooked means awful. Like I would never eat that. And then if I go to a restaurant, I want professional people to do professional food. I don't want home food. So one of the things we did is we tested that positioning statement versus other positioning statements using disassociated conjoint analysis. Even the client hasn't seen it because we haven't finished the dashboard. But yesterday I was looking at the dashboard, I was looking at the data. And food from scratch beats home cooked any day with this particular group. So we have that. And then the third part, which I also learned early on, was so now you have what you want your customer to do. I want you to choose this toothpaste, or I want you to choose a Samsung, or I want you to choose whatever. So you have that. Then you have, okay, so this is the driver for that decision. But now you have the other part. We're not a mass of people at all. Even, like if you get 100 people like me, we're still not the same, even if you get 100 people like me. So the other aspect of understanding why your consumer moves is to understand that little segment of the consumer. Many years ago, when I was rehired by Food Corner Building, I was lucky enough to participate in a massive, massive study, which we called Constellations. And I was lucky, I just fell into it. We were 5 of us, 4 of them were geniuses, like the best people you've ever seen. I felt like that guy in the movie that compared life to chocolates, that kind of guy. I don't know what I was doing there, but I was lucky enough. I found, a little niche in there. But one of the things we did is we started looking at the population. This was in 2001. Started looking at the population in terms of homogeneous characteristics and heterogeneous groups. So we looked at the US and we ran correlation analysis on the entire population, and we wound up with 50 something groups, which could be down to 30 something groups. So one of the things then that I learned from it was there are very, very distinct groups in every one of your targets that might not necessarily be moved by what everybody else is moved. So when we do analysis, when we do disassociated conjoint analysis today, we also do it using demographic characteristics. And it stands to reason. I mean, you look around and, like a woman who is, let's say, 30 years old of Hispanic descent who lives in East LA cannot really doesn't make decisions using the same drivers as a woman who is, I don't know, 30 years old, white, and lives in Iowa. They're very different universes. I mean, Iowa, yeah. East LA. I've never been to Iowa, by the way. I imagine Iowa, but I know East LA. So yeah, it's a different world. So that's the 3 things, right? First, you need to define what it is exactly that you want your customer to do at the end of the communication. 2, find the drivers, and 3, segment the population so that you have drivers that are very exclusive to that group, and then that increases your odds of somebody making the decision that you need them to make.
Nice. I can feel my feeling that when I listen to you, I can feel that I'm reading a book because you can share stories and you can summarize in the end, all your points. Love it. So, yeah, valuable. Okay, Marcela, my next question about vanity metrics. You mentioned about vanity metrics, and I often see when people use keyword research tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs, many others, and when they see high volume, they can feel it. Wow, I can get all this traffic. I need it. But in the end, we have 2 points. The first, it's hard. It's really hard to get this traffic. In the second point, it doesn't mean that you can sell by getting this traffic. For example, once I spoke with a master who got 400,000 traffic, a lot of traffic. But after losing this traffic, when Google dropped his website ranking positions, he didn't lose any sales. So he got a lot of traffic, but this traffic didn't sell. And you mentioned a lot about that. Can you tell about the right metrics, not vanity metrics that will, because when people are looking for getting more likes, comments, traffic, but as you mentioned, it's more important to think how many leads and sales you can get. Any tips about choosing the right metrics?
Yeah. So one of and I'm going to go back like 30 years for a moment. The number one metric, and I've seen this in research everywhere, that drives volume for a brand is the reach. It's obvious. And they had I can't remember who wrote that, but he had a fantastic phrase which said, small brands grow because people try them. Big brands grow because people buy them again. And that is very true. Let's say, I can tell you two things. One of them is when I launched Colgate Total in Mexico, we had zero share. I mean, we didn't exist. And there we were. We launched it. And by the way, the only goal was to reach something like 6.2%, some stupid number like that, like 6% of the market. So I figured we should, like if 1 in 5 people buy Colgate, which is probably even more, like 1 in 4, something like that, 1 in 6, 1 in 3, we should reach 4 times what we want. So people try us and then they remain. Today, fast forward 30 years, and it's pretty much the same thing. Let's say you're selling, I don't know. I've seen clients. I was partner in a CDP company, and they had like the weirdest clients. But let's say you're selling boxer shorts underwear that is directed at lesbians. That's a real company, by the way. It's called Woxer, and they sell $80,000 a month. Get that, $80,000 a month. So there you have a person who has a viable business by being very niche. But even then, how do you sell more? Well, you gotta reach more people who would buy your boxers. That's the only way. No, like you're not gonna drive a huge amount of sales into the same person. Even fast food doesn't do it. You would think, fast food. I mean, you could go every day to a McDonald's, but the fact is you don't. You have a rotation. So I would say in every single case that I've seen, whether it is boxer short underwears aimed at lesbians or cars or soft drinks or anything, the number one driver is the reach. The number two driver is the message. I reach this, I gotta have a message. So to me, the number one metric, and you cannot metrify the message. So I would say the number one metric for me is reach. How many people are we reaching? Then the second one is whatever the cost of achieving the action that I set is. So let's take two extremes. I was part of the team that launched General Motors in Argentina. There was no General Motors, and then there was General Motors. And we sold 39,000 whatever cars. I don't know, 39,600, whatever, some ungodly amount of cars. So the number one goal was getting people to, of course, first have an awareness of the car because, we're starting from scratch. But that's kind of bullshit. Awareness is your least common denominator. We were trying to get people to go to the dealer and try out a car, just get in the car. So what is the cost of doing that? And we spent X amount of million doing that, and we were successful, and we met the goal. So if the action that we wanted was to get people into the dealerships to try a car, then my only metric after the number of people I reach is how many actually try the car, how much did I spend, and what is the cost of doing that. With I don't know, with this company that I had as a client, that just they deliver therapy for children with autism. It's very specific therapy, ABA, which is behavioral therapy. Then again, it was not the number of clicks or the CTR. It was for the amount of money that I spent. What is the cost of somebody joining the wait list? Because there was a wait list. So we measure it by people joining the wait list. So in every single case, it is my cost of achieving the action that I determined from the beginning that would drive my sales. And I basically look at that. I mean, like, for example, for DirecTV, I did the acquisitions for 3.5 years or 3 years, something like that. My team was buying 69,000 television spots a year. 4 people. So we worked them. We really worked those people. And the only measure we had was how much are we spending and how many sales are we closing. Not even the value of the sales, because we knew that the value of the sales on the average was anywhere from $1,900 to $2,000 because it was 2-year contracts. And we certainly kept track of it. It was just how many people are buying this and how much we're spending on that. This was many years ago, so I can talk about the figures. DirecTV told us that the maximum allowable cost per subscription was around $385, $386. We used that as a barometer, and then we tried to beat the average. We achieved $368 more or less. But that's it. It's how many people, and every morning, by the way, the how many people is so key. I designed like 3 generations of software to keep track of it, dashboards. And every morning, and I'm still friends with the guy who owned the agency, who was, I own 10%, the guy who was the majority owner. And I am not only still friends, we're still doing business together. And he moved about 3 blocks from me in Riviera Drive. So this was something that was very real. Every morning, we would go in, 8 o'clock in the morning, turn on the computer, dashboard comes in, and we would look at, oh yeah, we had so many television spots. We generated X amount of calls. We generated X amount of closing ratio. Was it better or worse? And then we generated X amount of sales. And that's it. So we knew the spots. The closing ratio was so we could keep track, but we knew the spots, meaning we knew the money. And then we knew the sales. And that's it. That's all we looked at. Then we would look at the creative that generated the sales, and we were heartless about it. And we were joking about that on Monday. I went to his house for another business on Monday. We're joking about it. We used to film, and that's another thing I learned about the messaging. If it doesn't work, throw it away. So we used to do 22, on an average, on a yearly basis, we would do 22 television spots. But we would throw away 15 of those. They didn't work. We would run them. They didn't work, out. Today, the same principle applies, where we look at many creatives and we test them. So I have a phrase that I used to have in my office. The only people who know everything are the people who know nothing. Everybody else tests. So when I launched the NFTs, for example, in Cyprus for the Listen campaign, not only did we create many creatives, we had many creative lines. So we had a very dignified music line. And then I had a very undignified line that my boss hated. I don't know. Are you familiar with the Bored Ape Yacht Club?
No.
Okay, so it's the most famous NFT in the world.
Yeah, probably. I'm not good with NFT, but
So it was really famous. So I had a video, and then I had ads. One half of it was this monkey that was yawning, and it had a headline, "Bored Monkey," and then the other side was a really beautiful, great looking ape, big or big ape, intelligent ape. So we had the board monkey, intelligent ape. Find your NFTs at nft.listencampaign.com. We tried that. We tried Dignified. We tried other ones. We tried all of the campaigns. The end result of that, I went from 35 to 50 people a day visiting the website. And this one, I'm not going to talk about the sales. So but the visits I can talk to. We had 35 to 50 visitors a day before the campaign started. We ran all of the campaigns at the same time, knowing that people would kind of self-select the campaign that they most felt, that clicked with them. And we went from 35 to 50 to 14,300 people a day in 3 days. And that is the power of understanding what action you want your consumer to take. I just want them to go into the website. That's my job. The designer of the website, his job was to make sure that the buying process, was flawless. The designer of the NFTs, his job was to make sure that the NFTs were, what they wanted to buy. That's not my job. My job is to take them into the website, and I did. So I took from 35 to 14,300. And then the cost was negligible. We didn't spend that much money doing that. So, I applied those lessons like every time, like every day. To me, the only metrics are the reach, how many people are we reaching, so we know conversions, and the cost of achieving whatever action we designed that we wanted, or we decided that we wanted to the customer to take. Oh, for a moment I was hearing rain, and it's my window.
Yeah.
It's raining. Oh my God.
Me too. I can show my view.
Okay.
Yeah, it's raining as well.
So I don't know if you can see it from my view, but it's the same thing. I mean, it's raining like crazy, man. So those are the metrics.
Nice. Yeah, awesome. Marcelo, you're the best storytelling expert ever, because I love listening your stories. Yeah, you're good with that. And I want to ask about finding the balance between companies that are selling products and customers. It's interesting. For example, if I put on customers' shoes, I want to get simple message to hook my attention, because I have no time to read all benefits, all features that products have. But in another side, companies that wanna sell almost anything, to tell our products are great, we have this, many benefits. So can you tell how to find the balance between simplicity, personalization, and tell about important things that customers needed?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Actually, that is the question that I would definitely chain a bunch of creatives to a wall, and I would ask them that question. And if they didn't answer it correctly, I would probably just break, like a toe or something. It is the essential question in marketing. How do you achieve that balance? My way is I have one message per ad. That's it. Way back, I was like a nobody. And let me tell you, all of these things, they have added not only to my knowledge base, they have actually added a lot of money to my bank account. I just visited actually like 4 hours ago, I went to see my private banker, because I have a private banker. And Mr. Private Banker told me, oh, don't worry about it. If you die at 100, you still have money. So the lessons are for real. I mean, you actually succeed in business by doing this. So when I was a kid, we were launching the Renault something or other furgonetas. Those little wagons that were really popular in Spain back in the 70s. Small little cheap wagons. So I can't remember the name. So there were three things that the wagons were famous for. One of them, they were cheap. Like you could buy one of those wagons for like nothing. They were business, okay? They used by, like bread bakers and, carpenters. They all had those little wagons. So they were cheap. They didn't use a lot of gas. And as you know, in Europe, we measure gas by liters per kilometer, per 100 kilometers.
Yeah.
Not like the Americans. Americans have miles per gallon, and I never I don't know.
I still don't understand how to measure it.
Neither do I. Like I get in my car and it says my specific car only gets about 15 miles per gallon in the city. And I never know. Is that good, bad, whatever. So I don't know. But I know that in Europe, because we measure it on a liters per 100 kilometers, everything is very easy to compare. And then the third thing that the wagons had was they're very reliable. They don't break, which is great because you don't want downtime. So they're creative. And by the way, I joined the company when I was 22, Kenyon and Eckert in Spain. I joined them at 22 as the lowest of the low, nothing, awful guy, like bottom of the barrel copywriter. Like I was nobody. I didn't even have a cubicle. I had a desk. Not even a cubicle. I didn't qualify for shit. In 6 months, I was the head of copywriters because of stuff like this. So I went out and I talked to people, and you realize people don't remember 5 things at a time. So instead of having, one ad with all of the things, we do this and we do that and we do this, and we said, okay, one ad, one thing. So we had an ad, and it only said this thing has, I don't know, uses 5.6 liters per 100 kilometers. Everything else, that's for another ad. That's it. Another ad said they never break. They're very reliable in a creative way, but essentially it never breaks. And another one just had the price. This is cheap. It only costs whatever, 20,000 pesetas or whatever in those days. And it's the same thing today. So that instead of having, I don't know, ads that say many things, I'm a fan of, for example, I'm a real fan, by the way, of dynamic creative optimization. Because with DCO, what you do is you take a whole bunch of things, headlines, body text, color schemes, pictures, CTA, whatever. The computer mixes them, but it mixes them in one single ad. And then you throw them out. And then in a week, you realize this combination actually pays off. This one doesn't pay off. But I always keep it like that, one single thing per ad. And it works everywhere. I'm a fan of photography. Well, I started as a professional photographer, and I still photograph. And I tell people it's the same thing in a picture. The picture can only have one single focal point. That's it. It's either this or that, but you cannot have 2 focal points in a picture because it really distracts you. It's the same thing in advertising. The person in front of you, you want that person to do something. Go to a dealer, buy this toothpaste, download this app, whatever you want them to do. Who knows what's going to turn them on? And that's why you have many variations. But the balance is that. The balance is you run one, and then you run another one, and then you run another one. You figure out which one works better, and that's it. For Equifax, when I launched Equifax for the Hispanic market in the US, it was the same thing. We tried 2 different campaigns, and every one of the campaigns had 6 different ads, and all of the ads had a single message. So we ran essentially 18 ads at the same time, and then, a week later, we went back and we said, but by the way, it was using programmatic advertising and dynamic creative optimization. And that was 10 years ago. So it was brand new, and we took a chance and we used it. 1 week later, we went in and we said, okay, so this is selling. All of this is not selling. Scrap it. So that's how I achieved the balance. You go in really heavy at the beginning. You select the combination that works the best. You scrap everything else in a heartless, ruthless way, and then you build on your success.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, great tip. Okay, I wanna ask you about writing headline. You mentioned about headline, titles, whatever. I remember a story when an author published a book, but sales was not great. So and then he changed the title of the book, and the second, but he didn't change any words on this book, just the title. Then this book was sold plus million copies. Because when people got the first title, that was boring. This book didn't catch attention. After changing the title, it provoked curiosity. Can you tell how to write such headline title? Because you mentioned about title, and for example, I usually read a lot of blog articles, but I have not a lot of time, just some time a day if I have it, because of many other things to do. That's why I usually check out headlines and I decide, okay, I can read it. It's probably it can help me or not, I don't know, but I choose by reading headlines. So can you tell how to write headline that people can't skip, that people that provoke curiosity to open and consume?
Okay, fine, I can tell you, but then who's gonna hire me if I tell you my secrets? No, it's very easy. Talk to people. I talk to people a lot. My wife hates that. Okay, so some of them are really funny. Some of them are embarrassing. We launched Fuerza Viva for Colgate in Mexico. So Fuerza Viva is a line of things, but essentially it's a detergent. It also has dishwashing liquids and stuff, but like it's a detergent, right? And it goes all the way from Fuerza Viva Ultra Concentrate, which is very expensive but highly concentrated, all the way from there to Fuerza Viva soap bar, which is a typical soap bar. And then you use it to clean clothes, like the old-fashioned way. And I remember just going in and talking to women in supermarkets. I see somebody buying, and this was a very funny one. I see somebody buying a one for her. Well, I didn't know one was for her. A very expensive carton of Fuerza Viva Ultra or Super Ultra, and then the bar. And I asked her point blank, hey, why are you buying both? You're buying a 16 peso thing, the Ultra Concentrado, and then you're buying a 1 peso bar. Why? One is for me, one is for the maid. One is for the family. The family uses the good detergent. The maid uses, the cheap detergent. You start talking to people and they give you insights as to why they buy. And then all you need to do, really, honestly, is return those words to them in a nice way, like you wouldn't say that. But I don't know, like, and I bombed on this one. Like, I was the copywriter on the relaunch of Iberia in 1976 or 77. Iberia was, of course, a national airline, meaning it got no respect. And then, of course, when they changed the colors, it was terrible. People were saying, blah, 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 the old colors, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. And we came in with a whole bunch of headlines at the beginning. Nothing clicked until I started traveling a lot because I could travel for free in Iberia Airlines. Nothing clicked until I started traveling and I started talking to people as to why they were traveling with Iberia. So, based on that, we discovered a lot of destination type of traveling. I'm going to the beach, I'm going to this. And I changed the entire thing. One of them was one of my favorite ones. Some guy, I can't remember, in Peru, I think, tells me, I have morriña for Spain. Morriña is a Galician word that is like home. It literally means homesickness, but there's a very emotional attachment to morriña. La morriña is that deep homesickness that makes you long for your home country. So we created this cheap rate for immigrants coming from Latin America into Spain, and I called it La Tarifa Antimorriña, the anti-homesickness rate. Instant hit. Why? Because people tell you I have morriña, so I have this longing for my for my country. And then the other one, same thing. I talk to people. I relaunched Ecuatoriana de Aviación, which is the Ecuadorian National Airlines. And at the time, Eastern Airlines and Varig were like the number 1 and number 2 airlines in Ecuador, and everybody wanted to travel in them because they're foreign airlines, they're prestigious airlines, and Ecuatoriana was bottom of the barrel, the Indian, airline, para los indios and stuff, like low class people. And so I remember what I learned in my master's thesis when I did on brainwashing. I figured we should try something like this. So I created a line that said excelente elección, excellent choice. It's bullshit. Nobody chose it. What happened was people were buying Ecuatoriana when they couldn't find tickets in Eastern or in Barrick. So the last choice was Ecuatoriana. So we told them excelente elección, but it was a whole package. People answered the phone in Ecuatoriana saying, "Hi, this is Ecuadorian Airlines, excellent choice." And we sort of created that, and then people were saying, "Oh, yeah, I made that excellent choice." But I heard it from people. It's my choice, my last choice, but it was a choice. And then we return it to them in their same language, but in a bit nicer way. And that's how you write great headlines. You got to talk to people. If you're going to be on the creative side, and today I think all of us are the creative side, because a lot of the buying is essentially automated. A lot of it is just programmatic advertising that just flows, or search. And search is today, I don't know, I use Chat GPT to generate search. I don't know about you, but I go like, "Chat, give me 20 search ads for this product." And then, so we get 20, we try them out. Whatever works, works. Whatever doesn't work, doesn't work. And then anything in the middle, we also say, "Ah, didn't work." And I use automation. So today we're all creatives. So the issue with creatives is just talk to people. You got to be an extrovert. I'll talk to anybody, anywhere. I can go to a bar, and I do go to bars a lot. Like tonight, I'm going to a heavy metal bar at 9 o'clock. So you go to bar, I'll talk to anybody. There's somebody in the bar, I'll talk to that person. And that's how you learn what makes people tick. And what makes people tick is what you need to write to get them to do whatever you need them to do, whether it is buy the toothpaste or try the car or, like download the app.
Nice. Yeah, love it, love it. Marcela, you mentioned about ChatGPT, AI. That was simple to ignore, hard today, impossible tomorrow. We
Yes.
have our AI tool that can help to create content for all website pages. And in our website, it's called golden button. Guys, it's not golden button. It's just the way how you can get a lot of content at scale that you need to optimize to provide something new, valuable insights. So because AI I think AI is not creative. But you mentioned about creativity many times. I even lost track how many times you talked about creativity, and you use ChatGPT in another way. So, can you tell how to use AI today to be creative? This tool can help to be creative, or it's better to use in other ways?
Well, I don't know about the other ways. I haven't, well, I do. Actually, 3 years ago, maybe four, a guy called Chris Gexy, who is a PhD in risk management, established a group that is called, and I have it right here in front of me. Wait. Forefront Analytics.
Mm-hmm.
So my personal banker comes to me and says, "Hey, so I joined, this is with AXA, I joined this group, Forefront Analytics. I want you to meet Chris. He invented an AI bot that rebalances portfolios based on the risk profile." That was my first real big meeting with AI. The stock market has gone down a lot in the US, as everybody knows. Specifically, NASDAQ, which is tech driven, has gone down 33% in the year. My portfolio has gone down 9%, not 33%. And right now it's recuperated 3.8% as of today. So that was my first inkling. So AI can be used many ways. I use it creatively to serve either for mindless tasks, like, for example, search ads. Seriously, do you want to spend your time writing 33 character search ads? Nah. So you go into chat and you say, "Listen, this is what I want." There's some other ones. I use it to write, like, not real blog posts, but yes, the structure of a blog post. So I might go in and say, "I want a 300-word blog post on X, Y, or Z." And then you get it. And it's usually okay. It's actually much better than some of the stuff I've gotten from other people that were supposed experts. So, and then you take it and you take it as a structure, and then you add your personal secret sauce to it. But that's how I use it. I use it to rid myself of really dumb tasks. Just the other, actually, like 3 weeks ago, I was looking at numbers, just numbers. Google Analytics for a client. What works, what doesn't work, and I'm looking at numbers, numbers, numbers. And I said, I'm paying for the subscription anyway. I mean, $20 a month, but I'm paying for it. Why not? So I take 4 columns of numbers, I drop it into chat, and we're talking about 4 columns of like, I don't know, 200 numbers each, right? And I just drop it into it, and I go, I want the correlation between all of these numbers. And then it's okay, fine. The Pearson correlation between column A and B is so and so, A and C is so and so, A and D is so and so, B and C so and so. And so it had all of the different combinations, A and B, A and C, A and D, B and C, B and D, C and D, all of that. And then these are the correlations. Now you look at them, and now you have saved yourself a good hour of work, and there you have it. Or many other ways. I use it for that. The other day I needed to do a schedule for a client, and I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to put like quarter hours without having to write code? I had no clue. I go, chat, in Excel, what is the command to build a column where every line is separated? It's a timeline, and it's separated by 15 seconds, right? By 15 minutes. And then it gives it to you. Oh yeah, time, and then a parenthesis, 3 numbers, you do 15, 0, 15, 0, and that's it. Boom, that's it. Saved me a ton of time. So I use it for that. I don't use it for like real creative because it is useless, but I do use it to give me the structure of many different creative compositions so that I can add my personal, my secret sauce to it. It won't replace creatives. But then again, there's so many creators that are bad anyway. So, like they deserve to die. Like all of these bad creatives that have cliche little ideas, like, come to a restaurant home cooked. He's not a creative. He deserves to die anyway. I mean, like, who writes that crap? So, yeah, it will not replace real creatives, but hopefully it will replace bullshit creatives.
Yeah, nice, nice. I like it that you call ChatGPT chat. Please help me. So you name him. Interesting. I never thought about that. Yeah, probably it's better to yeah to use chat or something like that. Because why not? If this tool can help, we need
Oh,
to
but it can
name
be
it.
used. It can be used to sell. I'm doing one. I'm doing an AI bot for one of my clients, the people who do the therapy. And one of the things, and I really wanted to do it because I really wanted to do it. So we used ChatGPT to do a lot of research on the ABA therapy world. Anywhere from like what are the 5 top signs of autism, blah blah blah. So all of that. Then all of that is put into a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet has the one question, but of course you need to train the AI to really guess your intent. So let's say, God forbid, that your child has autism. It might be that you go into positive behavior and you say, how do I know if my child has autism? Then the bot will return the 5 signs of autism with a note saying, these are the top 5 signs. Does your child exhibit any 2 or 3 of them? But it could be that you also just write in, what are the signs of autism? Not even the top 5, just what are the signs? Then the same bot will slightly change the heading, but it will still tell you the same information. So what I did, and we're doing this with Watson, we're doing this with IBM's Watson computer. So this is not child play, and this is not, like an amateurish AI. This is for real. And it's a powerful, powerful tool. I trained it. I sat down for like 3-4 hours, writing down all of the different questions that would have that answer. so that we would be able to guess the intent of the person, which is the essential of AI. You guess the intent of the question. But I wrote a selling point to every one of the questions. So let's say that, you ask, how do I know if my child has autism? And then I tell you those. Then the next thing that would happen would be, would you like to know what resources are available to you? Because that would be the intent. You as a parent would definitely want to know, one, does my child have autism? Two, what resources do I have? Because I can see myself spending money on this. So what resources? So we would give you the resources. If you live in Florida, which is where the client is, there's the following available resources that will pay whatever. There's other federal resources like Medicaid, blah, blah, blah. We would give you all of that. At the end, it's a very throwaway line that says, would you like to talk to a real person to see how we can tailor those resources to your specific case? Bam! That's selling. I mean, not only that, the money we spend, it's great because by the time it gets to the person, 70% of the stuff is absolutely resolved. The person, on the other hand, the parent knows the signs of autism. The parent knows what resources are available. So the person who gets that doesn't have to begin from scratch. The person who gets that, she gets to get a client that's warm, if not hot. So it's a hot lead or a warm lead that is now very engaged with the company because the company has given her, normally it's moms, that's why I'm saying her, like dads, like they're awful, like moms, they really care. So normally it's a mom, and the mom already is engaged. She knows the signs. She's afraid her child has autism. She knows the resources, and she's been offered help from somebody who's an expert in getting her resources. Tell me it's not a slam dunk. And you can only do that with AI. You can only do, but when you do it, it's like perfect. I mean, it's a perfect selling tool. So I'm very up on it. I'm very up on AI. I was telling these guys, if I were 30 today, like for real, if I were 30, and I'm putting this to your audience, if somebody wants to hit me with it. If I were 30, I would only do AI. I would dedicate myself 100% to figuring out how to expand and extend and strengthen AI so that it helps everybody. But AI is from 5 technologies that you could say will change the world. I would say AI is the most powerful technology. The other one, personally, I think is 3D printing. I think 3D printing is the most powerful technology, second most powerful you've ever seen in your life. If you can imagine a ship to the moon, you don't know what's going to break, right? So you have a 3D printer, you have all of the computer plans, and then you have this mass of something. And then you say, oh my God, the door hinge broke. And then, you program a door hinge or something. But AI can really change the world in that very positive way. I'm not afraid of AI taking over. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm more afraid of many other things happening, not AI. But I think AI has the real possibility of making our lives absolutely simpler by giving us the information we really need at the moment we need it. And it doesn't compete with search, by the way. A lot of people have been saying ChatGPT will be the end of Google. I use both aggressively. I'm doing a plan right now for an AI-driven dating app out of Israel. So, of all things, right? I mean, Israel, there's only like, 9 million people, 10 million people in Israel. They just know each other really well. Why would you need a dating app? But this woman she created this AI-driven app for as a dating app. So you use Google to identify things that are in the market. What other companies are in the market size. What research is available, blah blah blah. But then you use AI for many other things. Write the ads, write blog posts, figure out from a whole bunch of variables which ones seem to be driving the decision. I don't see them as competing. I just think both of them have a place in the world. You just have to know exactly what.
Yeah, awesome. For me, I couldn't agree more with all your points because when I spoke with some accounting companies. I told them you need to implement AI, and they replied to me, "No, in our niche we don't need it." What? Are you kidding me? If you don't do it today, tomorrow your competitors will replace you. It doesn't matter what kind of niche. Of course, in marketing we use a lot, but you implement in accounting. If you search on Google QuickBooks AI or CostPoint AI, you can see that these companies work to replace many accounting specialists because customers need it. They will lose the trade if they don't implement AI. And today, it doesn't matter what kind of niche you have. I completely agree. You need to implement, you need to think how you can adapt, because if you don't do it, others will replace you, not AI. Others who will implement and consider AI, because AI is not going to destroy some occupations. AI is going to help to create some valuable stuff, yeah, by using this technology. I love it, Marcela. Awesome. And I want to ask the last question about the future. You mentioned about AI, that you need to learn AI, especially for youngsters. And I have some students in my network who don't know what to do, how to learn. And I'm interested, if you started today from scratch without any experience, what will you do today to learn more about AI? How you can learn this technology today?
Oh, wow. By the way, just going back for a moment, I absolutely agree with you 200, 300%, especially in accounting. I mean, like in accounting, you have to make decisions all the time. Do I take this deduction or do I take that deduction? Do I do this or do I do that? And then what is the net effect on the taxes that you pay at the end? Actually, I mean, my tax accountant is a good $1,000 just to do my taxes. So yeah, AI is there. So how to learn? Good question. First of all, if somebody has the perfect answer, please let me know because I want to learn even more because it really, really turns me on. Um, I don't know. I would think at some point, hard sciences must have a place. So STEM, for example, I know it's hard and it is not a fuzzy, beautiful, warm kind of answer, but I would think real deep learning programming has got to be there in the curriculum somewhere. Um, the rest, I don't know. Like I would do an apprenticeship. If I were young, I would do an apprenticeship in one or two of the companies that are driving AI, like for example, open source.ai. I would just call them up, man, and say, listen, I just want to work for you for free for 6 months. Just learn because the programming is there. So you need to know the programming. But what are the algorithms? How do you even write an algorithm that learns? I mean, that is mind boggling. I wish I understood it. But to be honest, all I can think about is learn how to program and go apprentice in like open source.ai or there's another company that is also really famous and I can't remember. And my neighbors there, my next door neighbors on that side, he's an investor in that company. He actually, my neighbor there, and they got more money than God, by the way. He made a ton of money. He creates DAOs, diversified autonomous organizations. He puts them together. He's very much in the forefront of that. And his wife was telling me how they invested in this other AI company and it's paying off really well. But I would say just apprenticeship there. I wouldn't even know how to start. And I don't want to apprentice anywhere right now. So what I'm doing is I'm having clients that trust me. And then those clients and I are learning how to better implement AI in their day-to-day business. We both learn at the same time. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's important to test. The best thing, what you can do, open ChatGPT, open resource, and what you can do to test, and for example, in marketing, I usually test a lot. And I don't write text with ChatGPT, but I edit text with ChatGPT. because if I can't build my thoughts, I can ask ChatGPT, please help. I have this data, but I don't know how to say it, in the correct way. So I can get it. Great. And when I spoke with accounting, they told me, we don't know how to test, what to do. And I told them, okay, give them data, feed data, ask to combine all this data to provide information. So you need to experiment, to ask many different questions. So yeah, practice, only practice, then you will get some results. Yeah. Marcelo, I found that you always lead me in the emergency room. I need to to digest all this information that you provide on my podcast. I love it. So valuable. It's a big pleasure to get again on my show, to learn from you, because you show another way how to do marketing, how to use sales, because the era of lazy marketers is dead today. We can't use generic methods. Tell our audience the best way how to keep learning from you, how to reach out to you, how to follow you.
Well, you can follow me in LinkedIn, where I follow you. And I post a lot. Some of it is very political, and we're going through a very, very difficult moment in the US where everybody's divided. So I post a lot of politics. But there's two things I'm going to start doing now, because I've also spent the last year and a half just kind of traveling. I lived in Cyprus. I went to Spain. I went to London. I went to Marseille. Nice. So I spent some time just traveling, but I'm going to start posting more and more on my website as I transition from whatever the hell I am into a more fractional CMO kind of work. I'm going to start posting more of, some of this. And I definitely welcome their feedback on any LinkedIn post. Anybody can reach me via LinkedIn. I think it is the easiest way, unless somebody's, it's msalup@effectivemarketing.com. But that's a hard one. I mean, you have to memorize it or something. And effective is with an I, not with an E, because I couldn't register effective as a word. They wouldn't let me. If not, I would have done it. So, but I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start posting more and more on my blog and on my website, which I completely redid, and I'm still in the middle of redoing it. Don't be afraid to reach out. I'm usually good. If the question is intelligent or the comment is intelligent, I will definitely answer. If it is not, I won't. Nice. If it is not. And if it's really bad, I will insult the person, because I'm too old to care.
By the way, I found that people the last time often use AI to write comments. Guys, it's not creative to use AI, ChatGPT to write comments.
No.
So it's better to have bad grammar, but to be creative than the best awesome grammar, but nothing special. So yes. You need to be to use intelligence, to reach out to Marcelo. Thanks again, Marcelo. It's a big pleasure. I always enjoy to speak with you, to learn from you. Guys, I'll submit all links to Marcelo website, to LinkedIn profile in the description below. Listen us on Apple, Google, Spotify. Thanks again, Marcelo. Love it. Awesome. Great. Valuable.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure seeing you. Remain energetic and see you around then.
Okay. See you guys.